Hi guys. Yeah, it's time. It's time for my last final declutter of the 12 days of declutters. I have all my palettes laid out on the floor. I was at first considering just sitting down on the floor and doing this, but something tells me my body is going to hate me for doing that. So I wanted to give you an overview of what we are dealing with, and then I might actually just take these palettes one brand at a time to my desk and do this sitting down style like I've been doing with all of the other products which fit on my desk, whereas this definitely does not. So yeah, you can see these are piles and piles and piles of eyeshadow palettes. So if you're curious to find out whether I'm going to declutter any of these puppies, I sure hope so. It's not going to be a brutal declutter, but some of these better go. So if you want to see how many I am going to declutter today and just what I have in my eyeshadow palette collection, then please stick around. Again, so in no particular order, I'm just gonna grab a pile from the floor and we're gonna go through all of my eyeshadow palettes today, and I'm gonna show you what I have and maybe we'll declutter a few. I've been mentioning in all of these 12 days of declutter videos that this is more of an overview of my collection. This is kind of a little bit of a exercise for me to go through all of my makeup so that I can plan 2024 better as far as my basket of dooms, as far as the priority of what I want to use first, etc. Disclaimer up front, I have a lot of eyeshadow palettes that I have yet to use. The pile of yet to use eyeshadow palettes just keeps growing and growing, and that is really my biggest goal for 2024, is to stop buying as many eyeshadow palettes until I actually try all of the ones I have. So yeah, maybe in a different video I'll get into some rules that I am establishing for myself this year, but today we are just gonna go through all of the palettes that I currently own. So here we go. All right, I've put a bunch of piles off to the side right here, and these are the ones we're gonna start with. As I said, these are in absolutely no particular order. In fact, I don't even know if these are gonna be all by brand. I didn't want to go through every single pile on my floor and check about that. We'll see how this goes. Let's do Wet n Wild because I see this right in front of me, and I do believe these are all of my Wet n Wild palettes. Maybe there's one or two hiding somewhere, but let's lay them all out. Is this gonna be super shiny? If it is, I apologize. I guess I really should instead just open them. Let's start with this one. This one is brand new. So I'm actually not gonna open it, at least for now, because I haven't decided what I'm gonna do with it. I'm gonna probably see how many neutral palettes I end up keeping at the end before I decide whether to open this one up or not. Back, I think it was in 2022 or 21, I wanted to actually do a dedicated video on all of these eyeshadow palettes, and I started working on that. I think it was 2021, and I started working on that, and then I had some major life events that happened and I had to move, so I aborted that mission because it was not good timing. So this was one I didn't get around to, and clearly I still haven't gotten around to it. So I'm gonna put this one off to the side because this might be just given away since it is still brand new. But let's see from the ones that I have used which ones I am still compelled enough to keep. I'll be honest, I liked most of these from what I remember. I mean, it's been a while. Are these high-end quality eyeshadows? Most of them are not, but if you have the patience and if you're willing to put in just a little bit of extra work, these palettes actually created some of the most beautiful looks I think I have ever done. So let's see. This is going to be tough. One I think I will keep because this palette did create a couple of really, really pretty looks and sort of made me a believer that maybe I actually look good in warm tones, because I've always thought that I am more of a neutral brown and not like a very popular overly warm toned sort of eyeshadow gal, just because I am super fair. This is called Call Me Sunshine, and I think I would still like to keep this and use this. So this is gonna stick around. This one, I really thought the color story, especially for a drugstore like $3 eyeshadow palette, was really, really cool. This duochrome or whatever this green shade is with ton of interesting sparkles is really cool, but I don't know if you guys can see, it's very flaky, so it's a little bit hard to use. And then we've got got these two olive green shades. This one comes out, of course, as an almost black, but I don't know, I kind of feel like I would have preferred another matte instead of this weird shade here. And I just don't see myself reaching for it, even though I did create a very nice look with it and I did enjoy it to some degree. I just think I have much nicer eyeshadows, obviously, with the huge collection that I have. And as I said, I mean, initially this was more for a video, so I don't feel like at this point I need to have every single one. The collector mentality for these is definitely not there, and these came out such a long time ago. I'm definitely not gonna do a video on them at this point. So this one I think I'm gonna part with. Another one that I don't think I really need is this one. This is the Petalette palette. I really liked this one. It's more again from the perspective of like how many eyeshadow palettes can one person who doesn't even wear makeup every day have. I don't know. I feel the part of me feels bad getting rid of it because I know I can create really pretty looks with this. But I think with enough patience, unless the quality is really bad, you can create really pretty looks with almost any eyeshadow palette. So if I start questioning my initial predisposition to get rid of this, I'm gonna end up keeping everything. So I think I'm just gonna go with my gut. I have a feeling I'm not gonna reach for this. I'm pretty sure I will find mauves and pinks in other palettes here today. So I think I'm just gonna pass this on to somebody else. This one I am tempted to keep just because of nostalgia. I no longer well, do I might still have some shades from the original Walking on Eggshells, because I actually did the dumb thing of depotting all of my old Wet n Wild eyeshadow palettes, and they're still sitting in a Z palette somewhere completely unused. And I have a feeling Walking on Eggshells, the 3 original shades, are still in that palette. So just because of makeup nostalgia and how long Walking on Eggshells has been around, I would like to keep this. Not to mention, while I do think I have very small neutral palettes that I can just pop in a handbag, I like to have a few really small ones for travel, for like a day trip or something. So I'm gonna keep Walking on Eggshells. And I think I'm also gonna keep this one, this Sundays palette, because I think I can actually use this together with Call Me Sunshine and create some really pretty warm tone looks that way. This one I will let go. I just find that there are too many similar shades. Again, I have a feeling I have a bunch of these similar colors in other palettes. This sort of reminds me a little bit of Modern Renaissance in some way. Maybe it's that burgundy shade that is doing it, but I actually never liked Modern Renaissance. I ended up selling mine years and years ago while it was still in its glory days. So I don't feel like I need this one. This one is the Heart and Soul 10 pan. And I believe the 10 pans, and I could be wrong because I don't know with inflation what the prices are now, but I think when I was buying them, the 10 pans were like $5 or $6 and these little guys were like $3 or $4 or something like that. This palette I think I will keep, just because, again, I remember creating 1 or 2 really nice looks with this, like really sultry. And while I'm sure I have a few cool tone palettes, I don't have a lot. So I think this one actually will stay for now. This is the Lights Off palette. And I've been looking at this one, and at this one, and to be honest, I'm not sure what to do with either one, because this is a very pretty neutral palette, but will I be reaching for Wet n Wild over, let's say, my even newest Natasha I Need a Nude palette? Probably not. I do like the range of this, and it's interesting because I've noticed high-end and indie palettes tend to shy away lately from including a really pale, for somebody like me, skin tone color, or throwing in both a dark black and a dark brown, and in this case even a dark burgundy, and then having a more mid-tone shade. I know that, not everybody needs that shade, but somebody like me really likes to have it because it then saves me the step of having to set my eyeshadow primer down with like my powder or something, because I do still do that, and I know everybody has a different method for putting on eyeshadow, but I'm a creature of habit, and I still usually set my eyeshadow primer with a skin tone eyeshadow. So in that way, I really like this because it's very inclusive for me personally. But again, I just don't know if I need as many eyeshadow palettes as I have. Okay, let me rephrase that. I know I don't need as many eyeshadow palettes as I have. I just want to get rid of at least some of the overwhelm of having as much as I do. And as horrible as this sounds, like if I really feel later on that I don't have a palette in my collection that goes from super pale to super deep in the mattes, I can always pull this back out from my declutter pile unless it's already gone from my apartment, and I do try to get rid of things as quickly as possible, or I can always repurchase this because this is not going to break the bank. So I think Nude Awakening is going to get decluttered. This one is very pretty, and I also remember enjoying it. I don't remember what this is called. I think I've taken off the entire sticker. I know this one is Always Naked, the one that I never used. So this one maybe was like, I don't know, always rose or something. No clue. Not gonna use this glitter or whatever that is. Yeah, that's a glitter. I don't really love matte shades with sparkles in them. So we've already got 3 out of the way. This one's beautiful. I remember that. These are quite nice. The mattes are really good. Wet n Wild mattes, I think, they're not super pigmented, but they're buildable, which I think is great. Yes, it again includes a skin color shade for me, as well as 2 transition building shades and a deepening shade, but I again don't see myself reaching for this very often, so I'm gonna let it go. This is the only Flower Beauty palette I have. This is the Jungle Lights, and I love these. These are gorgeous shades. I'm not usually somebody that reaches for multiple palettes to create an eye look, but once in a while I make an exception for this palette. I really do need to use it more, and of course the reason I don't, I just mentioned. I tend to just grab a palette and create the entire look from that palette, but I'm still gonna keep this and try to remember to use that more. I don't have too many ColourPop eyeshadow palettes. In fact, I think these are the 4 that I have, and out of the 4 that I have, I think I've only used 2. I have used the Lush Life and this little quad. Let me open these up. I have no idea why I'm keeping the Lush Life box. I mean, this is exactly the same. I know why I kept this one is because it is different, and I do like having the Gather Round Sisters and then the cauldron here. This one I bought when they restocked it for the last time, and I still haven't used it. This one I think I got in a subscription box of some sort, and this is super old. I think this was the palette, one of the palettes like Kathleen Lights was supposed to do with them, but for some reason that specific palette didn't come to see the light of day in the Kathleen Lights version, so then they just renamed it and like put a sticker over it. That's a sticker, and called it You Had Me at Hello. I know a lot of people really love this palette, and I don't know why. It's pretty. It's very pretty. I'm sure I would love it, but I keep putting off using it and keep reaching for other things. By now I don't even know if the quality is any good, because I have heard ColourPop's quality does change over time. So I think this quad is gonna go. First of all, the packaging broke super quickly. I mean, I've only used this a few times. And to be honest, I didn't really love this quad. I felt like the shimmers weren't all that great. They were just, there was too much fallout as far as the glitter. I didn't think like these 2 mattes had enough variety of tone. Even for somebody as pale as me, I would have preferred to have just one of these and then the other one be deeper. So yeah, I don't see myself ever really reaching for this again. So we're gonna get rid of that. I'm also finally going to have to say goodbye to You Had Me at Hello, just because it's ridiculous how long I still have not used this palette for. I mean, it's just way too old for me at this point to really do anything with. And I am definitely going to keep my Gather Round Sisters palette. I really would like to use this year finally. I think it has some beautiful colors. Yes, the lightest matte is the Hello Salem, but that's okay. I will make it work. There does seem to be quite a lot of interesting shimmers. I don't know if these are mattes with shimmer or if these are a different shimmer formula. I can't quite tell. Obviously, I will know once I finally use it and swatch it. So that one we are gonna keep. And I'm kind of torn on the Lush Life palette. just because I don't remember absolutely falling in love with it the 1 or 2 times that I've used it, but I have only used it 1 or 2 times. In fact, I remember, I think it was sometime last year, even saying that I would like to do a comparison video between Lush Life and one of my Huda Beauty 9 pans. Maybe I will still save this and do that video as part of my like Basket of Doom series to see which one gets to stay and which one will get the door. So I think I will keep that, but this is going to be the first palette to go into my Basket of Doom. Also, because I'm only usually pulling out 2 to 3 palettes in a given month to put into my Basket of Doom, just because I don't wear makeup every day. There's only, you know, about give or take 30 days in a month. So if I pull out 12 palettes in a month, that is so unrealistic for me. So I am thinking that I should really see how many Basket of Doom palettes I end up having at the end of this video. And if there are way too many, maybe narrowing it down some more. We'll see how this goes. So I'm going to start putting aside my Basket of Doom palettes to see what that ends up looking like at the end of this video. And obviously, guys, grab all the snacks and all the drinks because we all know we're going to be here a while. At least I hope you guys know we're going to be here a while. Okay, my Ofra and Samantha March Life's a Draft palette. I will be honest, I do not like the eyeshadows. I never really liked the eyeshadows. I did create quite a few really pretty looks with them, but I'm not a huge fan of the Ofra eyeshadow formula. I think I've only tried 1 or 2 other palettes that I have long ago decluttered. I'm gonna keep this palette for 2 reasons. I do like the face products, especially that highlighter. And I love Samantha March. I got to meet her at her Creators and Friends holiday party in Vegas back in December. I brought this palette with me so that she could sign it for me. So for that reason, I think I will probably always keep this palette. But it's not one I reach for very often. And as I said, when I do, it's really just for that highlighter shade. So I'm probably, if I start using my single pan products more, at some point I will actually just pull this out of there. Out of here and probably put it somewhere where I'm more likely to reach for it. This is one of the palettes I have yet to try. You can see I bought it on clearance at a TJ Maxx or Marshall's for $8. This is the LA Girl Fierce and Wild eyeshadow palette. Very shiny. Hold on, let me see. Oh, it's glued. Okay, this is not glued, but like I would have to peel this off and I don't want to do that yet because it's not like I'm swatching it or using it today. What do I want to do with this puppy? I was really curious to try the LA Girl formula because I can't remember who I heard it from, but I heard from somebody that they actually have a very nice eyeshadow formula. And I really like this color story. I think I'm going to keep this. There's going to be a huge pile of brand new palettes I have yet to use. So that's not going to be a Basket of Doom thing. That's more of a Basket of Shame thing. And that's going to be a whole separate game, whole separate videos later on throughout the year. But yeah, I'm going to keep that for now. All right, let's do Juvia's Place because I have a lot of Juvia's Place. Most of these I have used. Some of these I have not, to be honest. In fact, maybe it's like half and half. So I shouldn't even say it's most of these. Let's go through the minis because these I've only used, I think, a couple. I have never used the Sweet Pinks and I think I bought these as a bundle and it was like such a good deal. I just couldn't pass on it. But this is what happens when we buy things on a good deal that you can't pass on. We end up not using things because did I need this color story? No. How often do I wear bright pinks like this? Maybe once a year, maybe never. So definitely this needs to go to another home. This one I do really like. For somebody like me, of course, it is a bit on the dark side, but I remember using this in conjunction with the taupes, which has the opposite problem. It actually is way too light and doesn't really have much depth to it at all and is a little bit, you know, Liza One Note over here, just not nearly as exciting. I think I'm actually going to keep this one. Maybe, do I want to throw this in a Basket of Doom? Maybe I will and just see, is this a palette I can actually create a look with that I enjoy or is this going to be too dark for me? And this one, as much as one would think is more of a color story I would enjoy being as fair as I am, I'm going to declutter just because I really thought it was pretty unexciting and I didn't think the quality was quite as good as some other Juvia's Place palettes that I own. So keeping this, I'll throw it for now into the Basket of Doom pile and getting rid of the taupes and the pinks so far. The violets, have I used this one? Nope. I have not used the violets, but it is pretty. Maybe I've used that shade, I can't tell. Oh boy, what do I do with the violets? I think I'm gonna put this aside and just see how many other purples I stumble across as I do this. So this is gonna go into a maybe. We're gonna do a maybe pile that I will revisit at the end. The berries I would like to keep. I think this is very nice. Again, I think I've only used one, maybe two shades in this, and I just feel like this still can't quite part with this yet. I think it's very pretty. And then the mauves is another one that I have not used, but I think I'm gonna enjoy. In fact, I'm wondering, do I need though both? Yeah, I think they're different enough. In fact, I think these would pair really nicely together. I think I'll keep these two. Nomad. I love this one. Really do like this one. I know that by now I have other eyeshadow palettes with similar colors, including even some shades in the Natasha Denona Yucca palette. Yeah, I don't think I'm ready to part with Nomad. I think that gets to stay. Same with the Tribe. I don't know if I'll ever be able to get rid of the Tribe. There's just something so fun about this palette. I will have to, of course, revisit my Juvia's Place palettes at some point this year just to make sure the quality is still there, because I haven't really pulled for these in a little while, but I do love this one. The Deuce is really pretty too. Yeah, see, these larger ones I'm probably not going to get rid of just because I really love these Juvia's Place palettes. The Magic Mini is another really pretty one. So we are gonna keep her. Warrior. This one, every time I open it, oh, it's broken. I ooh and ah. And then for some reason, I just never reach for it. I don't know why that is. Oh, what do I do about you? What do I do about you? I think this is gonna go into a basket of doom. And if I feel like the looks I create with it are just not spectacular enough, then I'm gonna, I think, declutter this one. The Saharan 2. This was a palette that I think I bought because years ago, Angelica Nyquist used to rave about this palette. And I'm sure she's decluttered it long ago with, you know, the fact that she does this as a job. But I don't think I'm ready to part with it yet. The only reason I think I don't reach for this enough is because, of course, all it has as far as mattes are concerned are these 3 deep ones. So for me, I end up either having to use a very light hand in order to have a transition color or pull for something else. And again, I've mentioned it before, I don't usually do that, but I think these shimmers are just still too beautiful for me to let go of them. However, I think the Warrior 3 I need to let go of because I'm not wearing these colors often enough to keep this rainbow palette. Yes, it's kind of cool to have, and I remember in my past declutters, or at least I should say in like my personal declutters, because I don't think I've actually ever filmed an eyeshadow declutter video before, but I've gone through my palettes, you know, numerous times, obviously, in the 10 plus years that I've been into makeup. And I think last time I did that, I kind of convinced myself to keep this because, you know, I dubbed it as my only like condensed rainbow palette. But yeah, I don't ever wear this. I think I need to let this go. Nubian 2, I really enjoy. I really do. In fact, I'm wondering with these 3 colors, do I need to keep the Warrior, or do I have enough of these type of shades to kind of make me happy? I think the only shade in this one that I would maybe miss is this beautiful Idea shade, because these two, I don't know. No, I guess these are not. Like, these two are kind of similar. These two maybe are kind of similar. Maybe these are kind of similar, but there's this one and that one. But this one keeps breaking. And like, do I really keep a palette for just one? I mean, yes, this has a black and a different shade of brown. And it does have a skin tone for me color, which I like. And this doesn't. All right, I'll keep this in the basket of doom. Although I have a feeling if I don't use it in 2024, it probably will get decluttered next time around. And this one I will keep because I do love this palette. This, however, I think I am ready to part with, just because I still have the original Humongous size. I don't even store it in my regular place where I store my eyeshadows. I have to like keep it in a separate place because of its size. And I haven't used this in so long. I think it's time. This started, I think, my Juvia's Place love. love. This was, I believe, these two, I think, were the first two palettes I bought. And I think back then I also bought the original green one, whatever that was called, I can't remember. That one I had decluttered a long time ago. I kept these two, but I think it's time to let this one go. Let's talk about my ABH palettes, my original Anastasia Beverly Hills palettes. These are the 5 that I have. Out of them, the Alyssa Edwards palette I bought and I never used. I bought it at TJ Maxx for 20 bucks, and as you can see, it is still in its packaging. I have heard from most people though that the quality on this wasn't as good as ABH was known to be back then. I haven't tried any of the new palettes, nor for now do I intend to. Personal reasons, I am just not currently in the mood to be supporting ABH. But that's besides the point. I think because I've never used this, if anybody that I know would like to have it instead, I think it would be better to give it away at this point since it is still brand new. I mean, I know it's very old, but if friends or people that I know online, I wouldn't just give this away to a stranger, to be honest. So if you are somebody I know and you see any palettes I'm decluttering that you would like, please reach out to me. But if we don't have a relationship outside of YouTube, I just wouldn't feel comfortable doing that. So I'm so sorry in advance, but I don't think I would do that. I might eventually put some of these up on my Poshmark if I feel like they're still in good enough condition and I feel comfortable doing so. But most likely I won't even be doing that, to be honest. And then these 4, this is going to be tough for me because I actually still really like and use them. Not often, but I do. This was a gift from a subscriber, a very generous gift, and I am not definitely ready to part with it. I have really enjoyed this palette. Yes, I think by YouTube standards, this is like, old news and nobody wants it anymore and everyone's decluttering it, but I'm not there yet. I'm keeping my Norvina palette. I'm also keeping my Sultry palette. I think this is still very, very beautiful and I do want to still continue using it. Riviera got really bad reviews. Most people didn't like this palette, and the few times I've used it, I've created some really pretty looks. So I think Riviera is going to go into a basket of doom, and we're going to still give her a chance, and same with Subculture. I mean, talk about a piece of YouTube history. I might still have the original formula, in which case I know mine's a little bit trickier to use than once they reformulated it. I don't know. I just love some of these matte shades still. I swatched these the other day and they still swatch like a dream. I mean, yes, probably because they are pigments and you barely have to touch and barely have to swipe to get the full pigment as it is in the pan. So I think these two, I would like to give them another chance and throw them into a future basket of doom. And these two I'm keeping. Unless I am mistaken, I believe I only have 2 Too Faced palettes. One is the Natural Eyes, which I used to love, and I just by now don't pull for it anymore because I don't know why, because I have too many eyeshadow palettes. But yeah, this one, even though it also goes from the very light to the very deep and technically would be my perfect color story because it is more neutral and not so much warm leaning, I just don't get excited by this anymore, so I think I'm gonna declutter it. This one, however, I did not get any love online, but I used to love this palette in the summer. This was my go-to for like light, effortless summer looks, and I just don't know if I'm ready to part with this. This might be in a summer basket of doom video. I think that's what we're gonna do. I think we're gonna keep it and throw it into a summer basket of doom. I don't know what to do about this. This I just got from Clarity Cosmetics. I guess I should have done all my indies separate, but as I said, everything's so mixed up and jumbled up that I guess I'll just talk about it right now. So Clarity Cosmetics, I think in the month of December, was having like a scavenger hunt where if you find an item that is free, all you do is pay for shipping. And there was a palette I actually would have much preferred, but I missed that one. And then I saw my friend Kara from Beauty and the Frizz post about this one. I think this was the last one they were doing. I think they did like 3 different eyeshadow palettes in their scavenger scavenger hunt. And when I received it, it came completely shattered. In fact, I completely took out this shade just because it was in smithereens. This, there's only probably half of it left, and it got all over, so I had to kind of try my best to salvage it. So I'm not even sure how true to color these shades are. I probably should take a brush to them and just like take the top layer off of most of these. I am a little bit of that snob where once things start to look very messy and start breaking on me, I tend to not want to pull for them. But I've never tried Clarity Cosmetics, and I was really curious to try their formula. So I'm going to keep this, obviously, because I have yet to use it. And even though it is a bit of a mess, I'm going to try to make it work, see if I can create a few looks from this. And if I fall in love with it, you know, who knows? Maybe I'll repurchase a proper one day or some such thing. MAC. I think this is the only eyeshadow palette I own from MAC. This palette I finally tried this past year. I'm hoping to film still my 2023 all the eyeshadow palettes I've tried this year and rank them. They're not going to be all the palettes that were released in 2023 because I never do that because I don't buy enough palettes at release. I usually hunt for them on sale much later down the road. So this I think was a palette that came out in 2022 and I bought it I believe at the end of 2022 or maybe it was even 2021 and then I'm finally trying it now. I don't remember. Either way, this palette, while it did not blow me out of the water, I really did enjoy and I think I enjoyed it enough to still keep it and get some more use out of it. I'm keeping the box just because it is so beautiful. Eventually, knowing me, I will get rid of it. It will start to annoy me, but for now I'm good. Let's do Dose of Colors because I only have these 4 left. I believe I used to have more. I think I got the Blushing Berries and the Sassy Siennas in a BoxyCharm way back in the day. And out of them, I don't believe I've actually ever tried the Sassy Siennas to this day. Marvelous Mauves I bought myself and I used to love this palette. It's been a hot minute though since I've used it. I think because I am not as into all matte looks as I used to be. And say it with me, I'm not one usually who reaches into multiple palettes. But considering I do have 1 or 2 palettes that I'm keeping for the shimmers, maybe 2024 will be the year. This palette was destined to be in a basket of doom in 2023, but it was right around the time that I had to leave YouTube and it never made it. Or if it did, it never made it onto my eyes. So this needs to go into a basket of doom like immediately, ASAP, because I used to absolutely adore this palette. I really don't want to part with it, to be honest. And I kind of am hoping that is going to surprise me with the fact that the quality is still amazing and I'm going to end up keeping it. But I have heard mixed things about it from the people that still have had it because I have watched quite a lot of eyeshadow palette declutters. I love watching eyeshadow palette declutters. So I've seen this palette decluttered from a lot of people's collections due to, I think, at this point being old and having some quality changes. So I need to see how mine is doing. So this one's definitely staying, but it needs to go into a basket of doom. And these, I think I want to give them 1 more year. See if I reach for them. And then I think if next year they are still sitting and unloved, then I'll finally get rid of them. I don't think I'm quite ready to part with these because I don't know, there's something about these monochromatic palettes from Dose of Colors that just bring back a lot of memories, YouTube memories. And these were some of the original monochromatic palettes. I think these came out before, if I'm not mistaken, even ColourPop went on a monochromatic rampage. Tarte. I have a bunch of Tarte. Hold on. Let me grab them. I thought I had more, but maybe not. Maybe this is all I have. So these 3 palettes were a gift from a subscriber. I have used 2 of them. I have yet to use this one. And the Tartelette in Bloom I have had for a really long time. All right, let's see here. I know already that even though these were generous presents, that I am going to get rid of these guys. And it's just more of a quality thing rather than anything else. I'm torn about what to do with this because, again, it was a gift, so I kind of feel like I should at least give it a try. But I am a bit uninspired by this color story. Even for somebody like me, I feel like this is a little bit too light. Yes, I love that it has the skin color shade, but then to me, these 5 look almost the same. Okay, this one, the Shake It Off, is a little bit deeper, but I don't see enough of a difference in any of these shades to really warrant them being in the same palette. So yeah, I think I've just talked myself out of this. I think I would rather pass this along to somebody. I have tons of students who are just getting into makeup, a lot of preteen and teenage girls. So if their families are okay with me giving them makeup, maybe that's where that will go. These, I really wanted to love, especially this one. This is one of the most awful eyeshadows I have ever tried dealing with. It is so powdery and so patchy and so dry and just both. I mean, I don't know what Tarte was thinking creating this. This was a-okay, but that's all it was. It was a-okay. I mean, now I'm almost tempted to revisit my Tartelette and Bloom and see how I feel about it now, because I'll be honest, I used to love this palette. I mean, I have major dips in some of these. I know you probably can't see it with the lights being as bright as they are. I'm keeping this still, even if it ends up having to go into a basket of doom this year or next year or whatever. I'm definitely keeping my Tartelette and Bloom, but these I was really unimpressed by. So I guess it's just a totally different formula, because maybe these are the ones they come out with. Are these like the holiday ones? I don't even know. I'm trying to see where these were made, but it doesn't say on these stickers. Oh, made in the USA, supposedly. Yeah, supposedly these are all made in the USA. Well, whatever they did with these, unfortunately, was not it for me. I liked the Tartelette. It was okay. I hated the big ego. Definitely those have to go, unfortunately. I'm so sorry. I hate doing that, especially since they were gifts, but I just don't have space for things that I'm not going to use. This Lila B cool little quad, I found it, I think, maybe at the TJ Maxx or something. I don't remember where I found it. But Lila B was a company I was always fascinated by. And then, of course, they went out of business before I even got a chance to try anything. So I think by the time I found out they went out of business, anything I had really wanted to try was already sold out at Sephora. And yeah, I kind of had to just settle for seeing this in a discount store, and I got excited. And it was just meh. It was really just meh, and I'm gonna declutter it. It's super heavy, super cool compact, but truly nothing special. All right, some of these are gonna be a little bit tough for me to declutter. We'll see if I actually end up being able to, just because a lot of these are coming up are going to be nostalgic. Let's do all of my Lorac palettes. I will tell you guys right now, I'm not going to be able to get rid of all of them, even though I should. I really should. I should just take this whole pile and just say, off you go. But I don't think I'm going to be able to. Some that I can let go. This Santa Monica Ocean Cheek palette, or Chick, or however you pronounce that. It's a cute palette. I actually don't mind palettes that have both eyeshadows and face products in them. I enjoy that, especially for traveling or super busy mornings. If I need to put on makeup and it needs to be fast, I like that. It just, this is a little bit, I remember even putting this in some sort of a video, like a past Basket of Doom. And I don't mean this past year in 2023. I mean like when I started my Basket of Doom series in 21, I think it was. And I ended up keeping it because the look that I created was very nice. I really liked the cheek products. But since then, I've maybe used this twice. And I feel like I can live without this. This palette I bought to compare to the old formula, because these are some of the newer palettes. This I bought because I think I found it also at a TJ Maxx or Marshall's. Hate this. I always hate this. I don't understand this. I just don't. And I have to say, while the formula is different on the shimmers, they are a little bit more dense, a little bit more impactful. I don't know. I don't feel like it's like a drastically different formula, nor do I think this palette is just absolutely mind-blowing. However, I do want to give it a little bit more of a chance. I don't feel like I've used this enough to just go ahead and get rid of it. So I'm gonna keep this one. This is where it gets tough, because I have all 4 of the Mega Pros. And I still love all the mattes. These were in, several of these were in my Basket of Dooms in 2023. Every time I would pull for them, it would be the same verdict. Love the mattes. The shimmers by now are just not impactful enough because, you know, these are old, and A, they've probably aged in terms of the quality naturally through just the process of time, and B, companies have come out with much better, more interesting formulas by now. And it's just so hard for me to get rid of these. I don't know what it is. It's like the nostalgia. I mean, if you guys have been here on YouTube long enough, you know that this was the first palette that created the drama that is like sell out in a minute. I think this was the first palette that ever happened to, where people went crazy. It was a horrible release because they, for some reason, decided, I think back then, to do it through Amazon, if I remember correctly, instead of doing it through their own website or through Ulta, which is where they were carried. I don't know, maybe still are. Yeah, still are, I think. This palette broke all the internets. And I liked it. I liked it. The irony is, I think I still see a few shades that are completely unused. But regardless, I really liked this palette. It has tons of really beautiful shades. Obviously, by now, this would be like, if this came up in a new makeup releases of pretty much anybody that I watch, especially somebody like Angelica Nyquist, we know what would be said about this palette. That it has like half of the shades that are absolutely unnecessary. Because look at this whole side. These first 3 rows are essentially almost the same color, right? So I know that. And the only thing that is preventing me from easily letting go of these palettes is the nostalgia. I'll be honest. It is. But do I ever reach for them? No, almost never. Almost never. I wish I could just keep a few of the mattes, because these are the mattes, these light mattes that nobody else seems to want. These are the ones I'm always missing in all of my current, more up-to-date modern palettes. I just wish that I did have more of these shades in some other palettes. But I can't be keeping these all just for those lighter shades. With that in mind, what am I gonna do? I think with that in mind, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna save my original Lorac Pro 1 and 2, even though these are the oldest, so it's probably not the wisest of decisions, but they do have enough, or at least a couple of these lighter shades that if I really want, I can pull in. And I think, as much as it pains me, I think my favorite used to be the 2. So this is the other one that I was considering maybe keeping. But no, I think as much as it pains me, I need to let these go. So I think these 4 are going to finally exit my collection. Oh, this is breaking my heart already. I have 2 Kat Von D palettes. I have the metal matte, which looks like so. I don't want to blind you guys. And I have this Saint and Sinner palette. I know not everybody liked this. I'm not getting rid of these. Even if I'm just keeping them as collector's items, I am not getting rid of these. I cannot get rid of these. They are awkward, they are hard to store, they're bulky, they're annoying, but they're staying. This, however, as much as I really wanted to use, because it was getting so much great hype, I mean, I think did I ever use this? I definitely swatched it. I've probably used it a few times, but then I forgot about it. And these are beautiful. These are beautiful colors to this day. Why am I suddenly swatching? Who knows? I mean, look at that. These are gorgeous. Still super duper pretty. I think it's the size and just the design of it. It's so awkward. I think that's why I just don't ever think to reach for it, even though it's a great palette. To this day, it's a great palette. But I think we're gonna let this one go, especially because there's gonna be a ton of other BH palettes that you're about to see that I am not gonna let go. But this one I'm gonna let go just because of its size, honestly. As much as I hate to do that, I think the size is really what is doing that for me. Since we just talked about BH, let's talk about all the other BH palettes. I have the bubblegum palette that I found at a TJ Maxx or Marshall's, and then I have the pistachio palette that I keep in its original packaging because this was a gift from my friend Rupi, and that's what these 2 look like. These are the 2 I have from their Sweet Shop collection. I believe there were like 5 or 6 of them in total. I am definitely keeping my pistachio palette. That's not going anywhere. there. And I am going to keep bubblegum, but what I'm gonna do is something I wanted to do last year and never got around to that either, and that's compare it to a couple of my Glamlight palettes. You will later see I have one of their like icy blue palettes as well as the Frosted Flakes, which I bought in 2023 at TJ Maxx, no, at Marshall, it doesn't matter, at one of those stores, and I haven't used those. I've used this once, I believe, but I have not used those other palettes, and I would like to compare them and probably then narrow it down and pare it down to just one or two of those palettes. But yeah, for now these are gonna stay. And then I have a bunch of these travel and then the breakfast series or whatever they were called, the brunch series palettes. So I have Summer in Tropez, Beautiful in Barcelona, Paris definitely staying, Avocado Toast, which I did enjoy. I think for now I'm gonna keep it. I'd like to use it some more. Switzerland I really liked. I used this palette a few times and really enjoyed it. Now, will I eventually need both of these? Probably not, because they do have a little bit of overlap, but I would like to still use both and then decide which one I'm pulling for more. I don't have a lot of pastels. This is still also sealed, and I do need to finally break into it this year. Let's look at Beautiful in Barcelona, because I think this is the only one that I was toying with maybe decluttering. I never used it, and I'm wondering if for me it's just overall a little deep, although it has that light shade, and I feel like Dulce I could use as a transition. I don't know. I feel like I still would like to try this. I know. I told you guys, I have a lot of palettes that I never used. This, however, I used a lot. I can't remember, last year, I guess it was. This palette I used quite a lot and really enjoyed it. I'm glad I got rid of the Juvia's Place palettes, the one with the colorful shadows, because while this doesn't have any like straight up rainbow greens or whatnot, it has a red, it has a yellow, it has a couple of blues. So I'm gonna keep this one. I think I'm gonna get rid of this packaging though. I don't think I need that anymore. And we're gonna do the same actually for Beautiful in Barcelona. And I do enjoy the Blueberry Muffin palette, so that one I'm gonna keep as well. This is brand new and I am debating whether to keep it. I bought this because I believe it was Kara from, not from Beauty and the Frizz, but Kara with a K. What is her channel name? She goes now, I think by her full name. Is it Chapman? I will try to remember to put her handle on the screen or down in the description box, but I believe she used to at least love this palette, and I saw it. Did I see it at TJ Maxx? Yes, I did, for $10, and I bought it. And I have a student whose name is Alondra, so that kind of sealed the deal for me, and I still haven't used it. So maybe at this point, even though it looks like it is a beautiful palette, I need to put it aside and see if I could gift this to somebody. Again, I could gift it to a student. I think my student Alondra is a little bit too young for makeup, but I can ask her mom if they would like it. It's time to move on. It took me forever to get this palette. I did not get it initially on launch. In fact, I don't even know if I have the original formula, because then later, as you guys might know, it was revealed that Morphe changed the formula. Yeah, this came out in the days when I still used to love watching Jacqueline and really admired her, and that love affair has since ended, so I don't feel such a strong connection or any sort of sentimental value at this point with this palette, and I think I am okay letting it go. Okay. Here's another tough nostalgia moment. This is not a nostalgia moment, but this was a bit of a surprise in 2023 because I had this lying around unused and I actually brought it with me, I want to say, to Vegas. Yes, I used it once while I was there and I really enjoyed using it. So I'm going to keep this and use it some more. This I don't think I can part with. Even if I don't put it on my eyes, I don't think I can part with this palette. These are my beginning makeup days. This is the palette I really learned how to do eyeshadow looks with. It was this and the Lorac Pro. These two I think I will keep forever just because. And in fact, I would like actually to use it this year. Maybe I should put this in a basket of doom. Maybe if I hate it, maybe I could convince myself to let it go. Maybe we'll do that. Maybe we'll throw this in a basket of doom. Oh, and this was nostalgic just because of the time in my life and who bought it for me. And I don't know. I don't have these super electric colors, I don't think, in my collection anywhere. I don't think they quite perform the same way. This palette like has a lot of sentimental value to me. This is gonna go in a maybe. I don't know. I don't really wear it. I really am keeping it just for memories. So am I okay with it? I think I'm okay with keeping it just for memories. I think it is okay to have a few palettes that one keeps just for memories. I know different people feel differently about that. I think I am for now still in the camp of I'm okay keeping it just because I still get some warm and fuzzies when I look at it. Okay, let's talk about these two. These are both from Dominique Cosmetics. These are both unused. This one I got in the subscription box. This was a smaller version of another palette that she had. And while every time I open it, I go, oh, wow, that is so pretty. Then for some reason I close it and never use it again. That Eternal Light shade, I keep not swatching it because I'm like, well, if I'm not going to use it, I might as well give it away to somebody still brand new. So I think that's what I'm finally going to do. I think I am finally going to part with this palette, even though I have wanted to try it for a long time. However, this one I am going to finally try. I bought this on clearance. I don't remember if they were discontinuing it at the time or what. And I still think it's really, really pretty. And I really want to finally get to use it. And it is embarrassing that I still haven't. But such is life. This is why we're going on these exploration journeys. This I got as a gift. I've swatched it. And it swatches quite nice. It's another one of these baked formulas, kind of like that BH palette. I have to say, I feel like the BH palette almost swatches better. Now, I have not worn it on my eyes though, so I can't really tell you which formula would be better. I'll keep this and try to use it this year. And then if I still don't pull for it, then I'll probably pass this along to somebody. Okay, let's go through my Pat McGrath palettes because some of these I'm not even gonna open and show you because a lot of these are still brand new and it is embarrassing, and I'm actually hoping to do a series where that changes. So I have 6 motherships. I have used, I believe, only 3 of them. And as I said, I'm not even going to open these up because most of you probably know what these look like. I have the Mothership 1 Subliminal, which I love. I have the 2 and the 3, which I don't believe I have yet used. And then I have the 5, which is Bronze Seduction. I have the 6, which is Midnight Sun. And I have the 8, which is the Divine Rose 2. These are definitely staying, and I need to do a project where I basically finally use every single one of my Pat McGrath eyeshadow palettes. I feel like I actually have one more somewhere that is not here. Hold on. I have like a whole area for all the eyeshadow palettes I have yet to use. So I've been pulling from different places, and that's why I keep forgetting a bunch of them. This was the very first Pat McGrath palette I ever bought for myself many, many years ago. I can't remember if it was when it came out or when it first time went on sale, but this is the oldest one in my collection, and I think for that reason I just have a hard time letting it go, even though it's really not my favorite. I don't think this color story is magnificent. For somebody like me, there's definitely not enough mattes. This is the only matte, and as you can see, it's dark and I'm not. So I don't know. Considering how many Pat McGrath eyeshadow palettes I have that are still not used, I mean, yes, I guess a lot of people here online collect her palettes, and I think I've kind of fallen a little bit into that mentality, and I think I need to let it go because I just have way too much. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out what these shade names are. I think like this. Should I be bold and brave and get rid of this? What do we think? I love this packaging. This is not helping. And ironically enough, this one, the packaging has held up really well. Whereas I purchased this at Marshall's just recently. And look at this. It's come unglued here. I've tried to take this glue off because I do want to glue it back at some point. Yeah, I don't know. Let me do this. I said I wasn't going to open anything, but I just realized that the 2 palettes I have not tried from her are the Sublime and Subversive. And these are, of course, like the extensions of those. So I should compare them and see what am I going to do here. So here is the Subversive. They are nothing alike, are they? I was kind of hoping there would be some similarities so that I could easily part with this one. Oy vey. And then we have this. Can you guys see? I hope so. Versus this. Why haven't I used this? This is gorgeous. My gosh. Wow. And honestly, this is pretty too. Like if I don't want to carry a weapon, this is much nicer. And it does have different neutral shades than this. Oh goodness me, this is not helping. I thought it would help and it is not. All right. I am just going to let go of this one. Even though I adore the packaging, I just don't ever use it. And I have enough Pat McGrath to keep me happy, that's for sure. Okay, so this one's going. Can't say I want it to go, but I'm also trying to be realistic. This one's staying. I have never tried it, and I like that color story. This one I tried in Get Ready With Me back in December, and I don't know, I wasn't wowed, but I also have only tried it once. So I feel like I need to give it another shot before I decide. I think this is a Basket of Doom palette. These two I have yet to try. I found these at Marshall's not too long ago, and they need to be in my little Pat McGrath series. And then I have tried this one, and I've loved it. This is such a beautiful palette, but I have yet to try this one. Also a TJ Maxx purchase. This was the one from last year. Well, I guess by now, last year is the year before the last. This was the one that was like the cheaply made one. It's all cardboard. It's actually, if you look, already bending, and it is brand new still. But I bought it. I have it. I should try it. But yeah, very disappointing as far as packaging is concerned. That's for sure. I can see why a lot of Pat McGrath diehards were not happy. Like this one is really nicely made, and it has plastic in here and nothing is distorted. Everything is in tip-top shape. So those are all my Pat McGrath palettes, and as you saw, most of them are not used, which needs to change. So since we just tackled Pat McGrath, I guess let's do the other sister. Let's do Natasha Denona. I have a bunch. One of these is still unused, and that's my Love palette. So this one stays, but it needs to get used. A good chunk of these came into my possession this year. 3 of them. This I received in my Beautylish Lucky Bag last year. This is the Glam Face Palette, the light version. I really enjoyed it. I haven't pulled for this in a little while. Yeah, so I'm definitely I'm trying to think, am I getting rid of any Natasha? Not much, but I am. This year's Yucca palette, which I really did enjoy. I have a couple of little qualms with it, which if my video does see the light of day, my ranking of all the palettes I tried this year, I will talk about that there. But basically, I have already some hard pan on the cream to powders, which I'm not thrilled with. I understand that maybe these palettes are not meant for finger swatching, but at the same time, you know, Natasha Denona relies on influencers, I'm sure, quite a lot to promote her products, and we all know swatches is something that people really want to see. So if we're not supposed to swatch them, I don't understand. And then of course, because I'm so pale, I would have loved one lighter matte, but again, I understand that I am just one type of skin color, and not every palette is going to be designed for me. The Trio Chrome I won in a giveaway a few years back, and it's a really beautiful palette. I really need to use it more, but every time I do, I'm reminded of just how stunning this is. This was, I believe, the very first Natasha Denona palette I ever purchased. I bought it used on Poshmark, and I regretted it the moment I got it, because first of all, pictures made it look in much better condition than what it came to me as. Of course, I have used it since too, so now it looks even more battered and abused. And this is what I mean when I say there have been palettes that have made me think that I'm just not cut out for super warm tones. I think I just wasn't used to such warm tones when I first got this palette, and it kind of scared me a bit, this color story. I didn't think the quality of all of these shadows were created equal. I just didn't really enjoy wearing this palette. I shouldn't say that. When I've revisited it since, I didn't enjoy it initially, and then when I've revisited it since, I did actually create some beautiful looks. And I think if I had a smaller collection, I would keep this, because I definitely think this is still a usable palette. There's really beautiful shades in here. I don't find myself reaching for it. I don't know. I just don't. So I think it's time to let it go. This is never leaving my my collection because this was a birthday gift for my 40th birthday. My friends Stephen Ford and Rupi Minhas got me this palette and I love it, and I just, every time I open it, this makes me so happy. There's still a few shades I haven't tried in here. I really need to get on that, but I love it. And you see, there's enough warm tone shadows in here to last me a lifetime. And probably every shadow in here, that Juvia's Place palette that I've been wondering about that I put in my basket of doom, I bet like most of those are in here. So I really do need to at some point sit down and be maybe even more strategic about my decluttering process, but I don't have time for that right now. And I'm sure over the coming years, I will get to know my collection even more and will be able to be even more strategic about what I keep and what I don't. I need a nude palette is not going anywhere. I really like this palette. In fact, I really like this palette. I was surprised at how much I like this palette. So you will see it in the ranking. Spoiler alert, it definitely is near the top. So stay tuned for that video. Or maybe that video is already up. I don't know. I don't know the order of events because, as I said, I have no computer right now and I will be editing at my best friend's house the one time every week or two that I go there. So who knows? This video might come out in June. This one I'm gonna get rid of. This one really disappointed me. This is the mini Zendo. I feel bad getting rid of it because this I also won in a giveaway. But this shade has hard pan. This shade I didn't like. The mattes were just so. This one's pretty, but like, no, I don't need it. However, I do love my mini gold. I missed out on the actual gold. I kept wanting, I mean, by missed out, I mean like I just couldn't really justify spending that kind of money every time it would come back. And now I guess it is gone forever. It was one of those large $130 ones. I just couldn't. I absolutely couldn't. Like this I got because I got a Sephora $100 with points card thing. You know, you can cash in your points. This was a gift. This I won in a giveaway. This one I did buy. This one came in a lucky bag. So yes, I technically paid for it. This I bought when it was 50% off. I think this maybe was the only thing in that Yucca palette that I actually bought full price and probably with some sort of a small discount. So I just couldn't afford the gold. You know, I couldn't justify paying $130 for it. So this is sort of my little consolation prize. And I do love this palette. Yeah, so those are my Natasha Denona palettes. All right, let's do some more odds and ends. And I am trying to save most of my indie for the end just because those are eyeshadow palettes that are much newer to me. I've been watching a lot of indie palette content for many years, but because a lot of it is like things you can't really easily get on sale or things you have to pay shipping for, I've been hesitant, and it's only been more recently that I've been dipping my toes into indie. Because a lot of my palettes, I do have to be honest, a lot of my palettes, most of my palettes, I'm sort of like Jamila from the YouTube channel I Am Jamila. I don't believe in paying full price for essentially anything. Like you're looking at 6 eyeshadow palettes from Marc Jacobs that I believe retailed for $50 each. I am sure I bought every single one of these at TJ Maxx. I'm certain of it. I have absolutely no doubt that these at the most were $20 each. And yes, that still means this is over $100 looking at me right now, which is a hard pill to swallow considering this is just 6 of hundreds of eyeshadow palettes in my apartment. But basically, all of that to say, I am finally getting on board with the indie train because they're starting to have some sales, or because I am just too curious at this point. It's been too many years. But we're not yet talking about indie. Let's talk about my Marc Jacobs palettes. Marc Jacobs used to be a brand I really loved, especially their eyeshadows, because I don't think I've tried a lot of things. Their eyeliners were amazing too. They closed, and my understanding is they are coming back. Like the beauty, I mean, obviously they didn't close their fashion house. The beauty line closed, and I believe they're coming back. And I think I actually heard Jamila say in 2025. So I think she decluttered all of her palettes with that in mind, that they're not really serving her because, of course, you know, a lot of people here on YouTube have to consider the fact that it is their either part-time or full-time job. This is by no means any sort of job for me yet. I am not even monetized. So for now, I'm treating my eyeshadow palette collection as somebody that has spent a lot of money she shouldn't have on a lot of these products. So with that in mind though, do I need all of them? Because I do love these eyeshadows. This is beautiful. I'm definitely keeping this one. This is the Extravagance palette. In fact, I believe I still have a brand new one of these sitting around in my giveaway pile because I've been collecting for several years in hopes of hitting 1,000 subscribers one day. So yeah, if you're watching this and you would like to win this palette, then please subscribe and get me to 1,000 subscribers so that I can finally give those products away. This is another one that I really love. This is the Stiletto palette, and this is one of the few cool tone palettes I own. I definitely am keeping this one. Some of these might start to make their way into Basket of Dooms if I see that I'm not pulling for them. This palette is probably one of my favorites from all of these Marc Jacobs palettes. In fact, I think it was last year when I ranked my palettes, I even mentioned that I had to bump it down just because the packaging, the clasp broke as I was pretty much like getting ready to film that video. So it no longer shuts, and I haven't used this in a while. I need to see if the quality of this is still the same since it's no longer even able to close completely. So maybe this one should go into my Basket of Doom just so I can test out the quality, because I definitely did love this palette at some point. I also have this Terrific palette, which I don't think I've used too many times. Do I need this one? And then I also have this Fantasine. I believe the Fantasine palette was one of the ones I liked less, just because it is so light even for somebody like me, but this one I don't quite remember what I thought about. So let's throw the Terrific into a Basket of Doom and let's actually declutter the Fantasine. I'm surprising myself. I didn't think I would get rid of any of these, but I think I am okay getting rid of this one. I do love the fact that it's all white. I kind of wish one of these other ones were so that I would have all the different packaging, because every single one of mine is different. The original ones all used to be black, and these were all like the limited edition ones, which is I guess why they made it into TJ Maxx. And I've always really loved that each one of mine is unique, but I guess it's okay. We can let one go. And then the only one I have not opened is this one. This is the Smartorial palette, and I really like this one too. In fact, oh, but they're different enough, right? They are different enough where I can still keep both. Please say yes. Yeah, I'm gonna keep both. Okay, so these two go in the Basket of Doom. These three are definitely staying. Let's do some of these and some of these, like really random ones. Let me move this out of the way. These are like ones I really don't have too many from the same brand. Okay. We've got a Glossier Monochrome Essential Eyeshadow Trio in Almond. This will be in my 2023 ranking because I tried it in 2023. I believe I found this at TJ, maybe. I can't, probably, knowing me, I'm sure like 70% of my collection has been bought at TJ Maxx. I was really disappointed in this, to be honest, because it's three, I mean, I know it's a monochrome, but even with the fact that it's three different formulas, the look just came out so bland. I'm gonna keep this for the video that I'm making, but then after that, I'm definitely gonna declutter. And as I said, you might see that video first, but I haven't filmed it yet, which is why for now I'm keeping it. These Lime Crime plushies, I remember when I bought these, I was so excited because back then I really didn't have many colorful eyeshadow palettes, and I have tried to use this so many times, but these dusty little suckers just blend away or are super patchy, so I'm gonna let them go. And these were so cute, but I never reach for them anymore just because the quality is not there. Okay, I have two Viseart palettes. This one I got in my Beautylish Lucky Bag last year, and I have yet to use it, but it looks beautiful, and I really need to. I really need to. This needs to go into my priority box of things I need to try. And then there's this palette, which is so pretty, and I keep trying to go back to it quite often actually, and I'm always a little bit underwhelmed, even though you'd think this would be perfect. I've even brought it traveling. It's even had a little bit of damage. I don't know. I just don't think, I mean, they look beautiful, but for some reason, I just don't use it enough, or when I do, I'm a little bit underwhelmed. I mean, look at that. That looks so pretty. pretty. All right, Basket of Doom. It's going to be tested and then we will decide. This is a palette that was a generous gift, and when I ranked it last year, I even mentioned how I think because it was just so hyped and I had lusted after it for so long, I was kind of a little bit underwhelmed by it. But I really do want to keep it in my collection and give it some more love because it is a very beautiful palette. I think I need to still give this a little bit of love before I decide what I do with it. Maybe it will end up next year in a Basket of Doom or some such thing. Here's another major disappointment. This was a Beautylish lucky bag, and this will be, of course, in my video, my ranking video, or already has been. Looks beautiful. What is this? This is the mini eye palette in, do we know in what? I think in just Charlotte Darling. I think that's actually what it's called. I don't know. In any case, I just thought the quality of this was so blah. There was absolutely nothing spectacular about this and nothing that screamed luxury to me. I mean, granted, I haven't tried a lot of luxury eyeshadows and my understanding is a lot of them are more subdued. So maybe I'm just not cut out for luxury eyeshadow palettes. Although I have a bunch of Tom Ford quads and you guys are going to see the ones that I've used and the ones that I have yet to use. I mean, they're probably all going to stay. This was just... and it's so pretty and it's so compact and it would have been so, and it's got a great mirror. It would have been so perfect for travel, but I am not going to keep this. I'm going to keep it until I do the video and then I'm going to pass this along to somebody. Obviously, this is not something that's going to get trashed. It's too beautiful for that. It is still fairly new, but it's definitely going to move out of my collection. All right, speaking of luxury, so I have 4 Tom Ford quads that I purchased at CCO's that I'm going to keep. And then I got these 2 Dior Quints as a present from a subscriber. I believe I used both of them. And I just can't quite remember. There was one I really enjoyed and one that I did not. And by now I don't remember which one was which. So I think these are going to have to go into a Basket of Doom because I might get rid of one if I really don't enjoy it. I know it was a gift and that's very kind and sentimental. So I don't know. Knowing me, I might just keep both because of that, but I should still find out which one I liked and which one I didn't. So these should go into a future Basket of Doom. And my Tom Ford quads, I still would like to keep using more. So none of these are going anywhere. I have African Violet, which is beautiful. Should I get rid of those little plastic things? I don't know. I'm still like keeping all the packaging intact. I have Double Indemnity, which is beautiful, which is really cool when I used it. I have Body Heat. I believe this one I haven't used. And then I have Leopard Sun, which I have. I feel like they're all reflective because of this plastic stuff, right? So I should take these off. Is that better? I hope so. My ring light, I think, is still blowing them out. Yeah, I think my ring light is still blowing them out, but there they are. So this is the one I still need to use. And then the rest of them I really enjoyed when I did use them. So definitely these are all staying. I have 4 Huda Beauty palettes and I don't think I'm ready to part with them yet because I have not even used one of these. I don't believe I've ever used the Tiger palette that I had to just pull out from my basket of shame, and it looks very pretty. So we're going to definitely give that a try this year. This is the palette that I was mentioning I would like to compare to the ColourPop. What is it called? Oh, I can't remember now. But this was the palette I wanted to do a side-by-side. And while the ColourPop one I think has a few extra shades, there is quite a bit of overlap in my opinion between these two. So I'm going to still try to do that. The Mercury Retrograde was a palette I had wanted for years and I finally splurged on it. I want to say last year. Well, last year. By last year, I mean 2022 because it's only like January 6th of 2024. So I'm still not used to the fact that we're in a new year. Still keeping that, still love it. And this palette really surprised me. This Empowered palette I bought on sale during Black Friday, I think also at the end of 2022. And I really enjoyed using it. I haven't pulled for it recently, so I really need to do that again. But definitely my Huda palettes, I think, still need a bit more love before I part with any of them. Next up, we have my two NARS palettes. I'm gonna keep both. This is the Climax palette that I really love. This is a great traveling palette. The only thing for me I'm missing, of course, is again maybe a super light matte, but I can make it work with this one. I just do have to set my primer with my powder if I am doing that day. But other than that, really great palette. And then I have this palette, which was a gift. This was from their Claudette collection. I also have a couple of lipsticks from that collection that I purchased myself when they went on sale. This palette looks super pretty and I cannot wait to finally try it. This is definitely on my list for this year to finally try, along with those lipsticks. I have one palette from Buxom. I don't know if they still do this, but they used to have either pre-made ones or let you actually choose the shades and then you were able to pull them out and replace them as necessary. It was a cool concept. I really liked this color story at the time, and I think this came pre-made. And I'm not reaching for this enough because the only matte that there is in here is this very light shade. So if one of these shimmers was a darker matte, I think this would be a fantastic travel palette for me because it has this really cool, almost like chartreuse shade in here, some beautiful, cooler, neutral tone shimmers. It's just missing one of the matte, and I guess if they are still doing this, I could technically probably purchase one single matte and replace one of these shades. But considering how many palettes I have, I think I can just pass this along and not even worry about that. I have a feeling I'm not gonna miss that palette. I have a few brand new palettes that I need to try. These came into my possession sometime in 2023. These were all, I believe, TJ Maxx Marshalls purchases. I'm sure they even have the stickers. Yes. So we've got Marshalls, this Woma Black Magic palette for $6.99. I know lately there's been some news about them either going under or being bought out by somebody. There used to be, I think, a Black woman-owned brand, and I've been really curious to try their palettes, but they're usually a bit more expensive. I think full price, these go for like close to $40. So when I saw this one for $7, I could not resist. And this is a color story that I think I could definitely get on board with. I think I would really enjoy this because I wear mauves quite a bit. I really like light pinks and mauves. I just don't like bright pinks. And purples also. I haven't been wearing those colors lately, but I've been missing it actually. I've been thinking about the fact that I need to wear those colors a little bit more often again. So this is definitely a palette I am itching to try. I also have this one, which I got a few months back for $40 at Marshalls, and this is one of the Yves Saint Laurent Couture color clutches. I mean, the packaging got me. Let's face it, the packaging absolutely got me. I kind of wish they had one of the other color stories. I looked a whole bunch of these up when I was at the store, but this is the only one they had, and it's really cool. It's so cool looking, and I'm wondering if there's any way after I use it and decide whether this is a palette I'm actually going to use for a long time or not, if there's some way to pop everything else out and just keep the clutch, because it's so pretty, so beautiful. I mean, your girl's not going to be able to afford an Yves Saint Laurent real clutch anytime soon, so this $40 palette is gonna have to do the trick for now. And I just thought it was too luxe to leave at the store, because I would imagine original price on these must be, I don't know, 100, maybe more, who knows. It is Yves Saint Laurent after all. And then the Lawless The One eyeshadow palette, which I bought for $20. I've been hearing so many things for several years about Lawless eyeshadows, kind of mixed things. Some people absolutely love them and some people don't necessarily. So I thought, well, for $20, maybe this is my chance to actually try the formula. I know the one of the minis that they released in 2023 got some really bad reviews, but all the other eyeshadow palettes, including this one, have been in a lot of people's favorites in the past years. I think Samantha March finally finally decluttered this palette this year because she has a bunch of the other ones, but this was one that she enjoyed for a long time. So I'm really curious to try it. I have both of the House Labs palettes, the eyeshadow palettes that they came out with a few months ago, and then they promptly went on 50% discount. One of these I bought for myself while I was in Vegas. I actually ended up going out to dinner with a few of the ladies. I was walking around earlier that day and got each one of us one of these palettes kind of as a memento of the trip. So I'm really itching to use this one. And then this one just came to me. I got a gift card from a student as a Christmas gift to Sephora. And while Sephora was doing their like sale on sale, I snagged the other one. I know I should have tried this one first before snagging the second one just to make sure I like the formula. But I don't know. For some reason, I kind of decided that that is what I want to spend my gift card on. And hopefully I will have no regrets once I try both of these out. All right, I believe now we are getting into my indie segment for the rest of this declutter. And if something else pops up that is not indie, I apologize. That means it's just been hiding in one of the piles. But let me grab the rest of the eyeshadow palettes and we will resume. This is where I'm probably gonna have the most embarrassing amount of unused palettes because a lot of these palettes I picked up on sales either during Black Friday last year or this year, or found at TJ Maxx or Marshalls, or have had for a little while, but I don't want to get into it. But basically the past couple of years haven't been the easiest, and I just haven't been wearing makeup as often as I would like to. I'm still very excited by it, clearly, by the amount that I've been buying, but then when it comes to actually making the time to take care of myself, I haven't quite been there. So another goal for 2024 is to actually not just use this makeup for usage sake, but use this makeup to make myself basically invest a little bit of time into me. So with that said, no judgments. Let's just get into what I have. I have these What's Up Beauty palettes. I bought these, I believe, Black Friday 2022. I think they were 50% off, which is why I jumped on them. I have used this one and have very much enjoyed it. I haven't used all the shades, but I have used a few colors and really liked the shimmers especially. I don't believe I've tried all the mattes yet. And then I also have the Monsoon palette, which is untouched. So that is definitely going to be one of the palettes I try this year. I really wanted the Dragon one that just recently came out, and I did not get it because I told myself that until I actually give these enough love and attention, I'm not allowed to. Although that one I believe has multi-chrome, so it's very tempting. I do have to say it is very tempting, but I'm gonna hold off at least until I make sure that this one is used and this one I've tried the majority of the shades, and then we will see. If I'm still really enjoying the formula and want to try the other palette, then I might allow myself to pick that one up. I have 3 melt palettes. I bought these both mainly because I just wanted them as a collector's item. So if you are familiar with this collection, they came out a few years ago with the Vida and Muerte palette, and then they both of course sold out. Vida came back for a little while, which is when I picked it up because when the collection initially came out, didn't want to be spending that kind of money, and then I regretted it almost as soon as they completely sold out. So then once Vida came back, I think it was sometime in 2021, I jumped on it, and then last year they re-released the Muerte palette and I picked that up. So yeah, these are probably never going anywhere, even if I end up not enjoying them after a while. I have not tried these. They're still brand new. I have this thing about not wanting to use really beautiful things, and something I need to really get over because I've spent my money on it and I really should get to use these palettes. But honestly, there's a few in my collection where I am perfectly happy just having them, and these two are definitely those. Oh, I didn't show you the other ones. I mean, I'm sure you guys all know what this looks like unless you're new to the beauty space. There's that one. Very colorful, very fun. Obviously, that's hence life and death. And of course, the packaging is stunning on both. And one day when I have a bigger place with a separate room for like an office and makeup room and whatnot, I will probably display these because I do find them to be absolutely stunning. As visually, aesthetically, these are probably my favorite palettes in my collection. I also got this Amore Mariposas. So yeah, I mean, the packaging again on this is absolutely stunning between these gorgeous gorgeous hummingbirds and the butterflies and the heart and the roses. I really enjoy this color story. I've created not many, but really fun looks with this, and it's just a gorgeous, gorgeous palette, and I do need to use it some more and get to try all of the shades. I have not tried, I don't believe I've tried this red. I don't think I've tried all of the greens. I know I've tried a few of them. I don't believe I've tried this shimmer or this really bright one, but yeah, I've definitely loved using it the few times that I have, but it needs a lot more love. I have only one palette from Lunar Beauty. It is the Moonspell palette. This palette was a gift. It is very sentimental. Another palette that I probably will never get rid of, no matter how long I have it. But I have used this one quite a few times. I have enjoyed it very much. I don't know if I would agree and say that, you know, this is like the most amazing formula. I know so many people love this palette and it's like one of their almost ultimate palettes, or at least used to be. I struggle sometimes a little bit with this one, and I would need to revisit it and see if maybe now that I've used indie shadows a little bit more, maybe I'll be more well versed and know how to use this palette a little bit better, because yeah, I do remember not loving absolutely every shade in here. But either way, I love the whole theming. This packaging is also absolutely stunning, probably second place behind my Vida and Muerte palettes. But yeah, this is absolutely gorgeous and it's never going anywhere. Maybe we should do all of my Nomad palettes. I have a mix of ones that I have used and loved and ones that I have yet to try. So let me locate all of them. I believe that is all that I have from Nomad Cosmetics. So these two quads, I don't believe they make anymore. I think they were on like super sale when they were trying to just get rid of them. And by super, I mean just like a few dollars each. I really don't remember how much, but I remember them being very, very affordable. I have used this Malibu quad and I've really liked the quality. Really excited actually to possibly travel with this in the future. And yeah, I've enjoyed it the few times that I've used this. I haven't had these for very long. Very much enjoyed it, and so much so that, you know, you can see like the packaging is already in the trash. This is definitely in my collection and it's not going anywhere. And I got rid of the packaging because this cool textured wooden part was both on the box and on the actual palette. So I didn't feel like I need the actual box here. Now this one is still brand new. If the quality is anything like the other one, I think I'm gonna really enjoy it. It looks like this is for matte shadows. So that's one thing maybe going a little bit against it. I have noticed that I'm not really gravitating towards all matte looks very often. I used to, and lately the shimmers have really taken over for me, but I still would like to have this. This would actually probably be a great quad to pair with the couple of all shimmer palettes that I have. I'm definitely gonna for now keep this and we'll see how often I use it. Out of the large palettes, I believe this is the one I have yet to try, and it is the most colorful one that I own from Nomad. It's very fun and festive. It's obviously, you know, has to do with summertime and the wonderful oceans. Yeah, so this was Paradise Islands, and you can see like there's Bora Bora and Morea. We've got this lots of greens and blues, really, really pretty colors. And I know there's a few here I'm not going to use very often, like probably this moon shade and Morea, which is a bright pink, and probably the sun shade. But honestly, everything else, I think if I were just to kind of cover up that top row, that to me is a little bit jarring as far as how bright it is, I could see myself really enjoying these bottom two rows. So I'm definitely hoping to finally get to this palette soon. It was actually, I had to pull it out from my drawer of brand new palettes that I am most excited to use. Maybe right now in the winter time, this is not exactly the top pick, but we'll see. The Okavango Safari palette, it was one you guys either have or will see in my 2023 ranking. This was one of the palettes I did pick up in 2023. I could not resist this beautiful color story. I've really enjoyed this palette. I like the fuzzy packaging. I love the imprints of the different animals. I do have to say I am not one who enjoys animal print, at least wearing it. I like it on live animals and not so much in fashion, but I know it's very popular and I understand why the packaging is what it is. This is definitely a palette that has gotten quite a lot of use this year. I've really enjoyed it and I hope to continue to enjoy it. So definitely staying, and I am keeping the box because this is so beautiful. Like if this was on the palette, I would have loved it so much more. I would have absolutely loved that so much more, but alas. The Whistler Snow Lodge is a palette that I have used but very little, so I really need to give this a lot more love. There's still so many shades that are untouched in here, and that is a crying shame because it is a beautiful palette. And I guess I don't really need the box for this one because it seems like it is exactly the same design. But yeah, this is one I should really pull it out right now while we are in winter. So I definitely need to do like my own personal shop my stash, or maybe do a video with top palettes for winter. I think last year I did it and this palette definitely was in there. For some reason with Nomad, their packaging, their theming of course, and their packaging is so on point that it's one of the few brands I've really struggled to get rid of the boxes. I've gotten a lot better about that with pretty much everything else, but Nomad is hard. Like this one also took me probably a year to finally get rid of the box. It had like this bright gold box, but it was lined inside with red velvet, and I cannot tell you how hard it was to finally trash that thing. All right, I'm gonna let the box go though. All right, we have another one of the palettes that I really enjoy. I still have the little card. This one, oh look, the packaging is the same on this one too. All right, yeah, I think it's time to trash the boxes. This is the America's Parks. This was the very first palette I ever purchased from Nomad, and I bought it because I fell in love with the whole idea of destination palettes and just destinations in general. Being that I love to travel, I can't afford to travel as much as I wish I could, but I do take every opportunity that I can to travel. And some of these shades really kind of sold the palette for me because there were places I had been to, like the Blue Ridge Parkway and the Acadia Lighthouse. I haven't been to many America's national parks, but they are definitely on my list. In fact, when I went to Vegas, I was kind of sad that I didn't have at least one extra day because my crazy self would have gotten up early and driven the 4.5 hours to see the Grand Canyon, even if I were to only spend a few hours there and have to drive back the same day. That is kind of who I am sometimes. So, but yeah, definitely keeping this palette. And then of course, in 2022, when they came out with the Hudson Valley palette, there was no way I was not going to pick this up. And this is probably my most used. It's either this or the Okavango Safari. I really do love this palette, and obviously Hudson Valley is upstate New York. All three of the shimmers have the imprint of New York State on them. I really do love this palette. I hate destroying the imprints on all of Nomad's palettes, but you can see there's definitely been a few shades in here that are already starting to have so much usage that the imprints are fading away, but that just means I really love it. So yeah, this palette is for sure staying. Yeah, I didn't expect to get rid of any of my Nomad palettes. In fact, I don't even know if there's going to be any more palettes at this point that are going to get decluttered. Maybe one or two, just because a lot of these are either newer to me or, as I said, they're indie. So I'm holding on to those at the moment. Let's do all the Glamlight palettes because, again, this is where I have a lot that are still unused. Some of them I've bought not too long ago when they had like super sales that I just couldn't resist. Some I have found at TJ Maxx or Marshall's. I feel like I also have the second Michaela palette, but I can't seem to find it right now. All right, well, that's interesting. I'm pretty sure I have this second edition of this palette. So I have the original Michaela palette, which I bought at TJ Maxx and haven't used. And this is actually the one that I'm wondering whether I keep it or not. I mean, I should give it a try. I have never even swatched this palette. One that I think I am going to get rid of though, especially since I'm keeping the large Michaela palette, palette is, I think, this Glamlight Cake palette. This one I definitely picked up at TJ Maxx or Marshalls, and it's too much for me. It's just too bright. If it had a more neutral shades that I could mix in here, because again, I usually go into the palettes without dipping into other palettes to kind of, you know, supplement. So I don't see enough looks here that I could easily, I mean, yes, obviously I could just do like monochromatic looks. I think for me, this is a little bit too overwhelming. And there are a few colors in here that I think are absolutely stunning, but I just don't think it justifies me keeping this giant palette just for a few colors. And I have a friend in mind that I'm going to reach out to and see if she wants this, because I know she really loves usually the Glamlight formula. So we'll see if maybe I can pass that on to her. And then I think all the other ones are going to stay. So let's just run through them. These are the two palettes I was mentioning that I would like to compare to the BH Cosmetics blue palette. So I have the Icy Blue, there she is. And then I have the Frosted Flakes palette, which also has a lot of blues, along with some neutrals. So I'm excited to try these. I found these at TJ Maxx or Marshalls not too long ago. So those need to get used, hopefully actually now in the winter, because, you know, blues. I had bought the entire collection, the Happy Hour collection. One of the palettes I already gifted, the really colorful martini one, and these three I kept for myself. I felt like a total dum-dum for actually purchasing this collection when it initially came out in full. I bought the whole thing, and then of course little by little all of this started to get clearanced out. This is one of those times where you really learn that yes, don't ever buy anything full price. It was a time in my life and I wanted to do something for myself to make myself feel better, and I kind of regretted it later, but that's all right. So out of these three palettes, even judging just by how the rubbing off of the lettering is, you could probably tell that the only one I've really used has been the Dirty Martini, one of my favorite drinks and also one of my favorite green palettes. I really enjoy this palette. I think it's very versatile because it has so many different tones of greens and you can really take this so many different ways. So I really have enjoyed that one. The Chocolate Martini, I need to use more. I think I've only tried one or two shades in here, and I'm excited actually to try it more because I know a lot of people that really like this palette. My issue with it is there's no super light mattes. They're mostly mid-tone. There's only one dark one and there's really no light ones. And then of course we've got this purple, very purple heavy palette. Again, this is the lightest matte. We do have, thankfully, a couple of deep ones. I don't know. I'm not sure what this random gold is doing here. I'm going to have to play with this. This is one I have not tried. So we'll see. We're going to find out probably in the next declutter once I've actually used some of these, or which ones are actually going to stay and not. Oh, so maybe it's only the small one that I have. So I have this part 2. These were clearanced. It was an incredible sale. I don't remember exactly when this was, but I actually ended up buying a bunch of extras and they are sitting in my giveaway pile. As I mentioned before, I keep collecting things for that one day when I do hit 1,000 subscribers. So if you guys want to win any of those palettes, please subscribe. Continue to come back and watch if you can so that I can get to my milestone at some point soon. We've got the Scooby-Doo palette. Again, that was all purchased in that same sale, and to be honest, I haven't really gotten around to most of the products that I bought in that sale. So Glamlight is a brand I really want to dive into this upcoming year, considering that I have like 4 or 5 palettes from them that I haven't ever used. I have one palette from Alamar Cosmetics. I got this years ago in a subscription box and I have loved this palette. At least I used to love this palette. I haven't reached for it this year and I don't know. I think this is a Basket of Doom palette for me because I don't think I can bring myself to just let it go. I think I do need to give it one more chance. But if I don't absolutely love it when it goes through my Basket of Doom, then this is one of the ones that might go. This is the only palette I have from Ace Beauté, and this one I believe I also got in a subscription box. This is their old formula because I've had this palette for a while. I've heard that they've completely reformulated and people really like them now. I had another palette from Ace Beauté that I decluttered because I really did not enjoy their formula. I can't remember now whether that was earlier this year through one of my basket of dooms, or if I've done it even in the past. This is a beautiful color story. But to be honest, I feel like at this point, if I want to try Ace Beauté, I really should be trying their newer formula. If I haven't reached for this palette, I might as well not touch it and just gift it to somebody brand new. So this is going to get decluttered. And then I have two palettes from the same brand, even though they are under different names. The Fall Magic palette I just got in the mail today. So obviously this is not going anywhere because I haven't even opened it or swatched it or done anything with it. Whereas this Poison Apple palette I bought when it was still Alien Cosmetics. In fact, I think it was already Unearthly by then, but there was a clearance on all the palettes that still had the Alien Cosmetics logo on them. So I had wanted to try the brand by then for a long time. This was one of the palettes I was eyeing. I thought the artwork was really cute and interesting. Yeah, and I purchased it, and I have to say I was a bit underwhelmed by the formula. So I'm excited to try the new Unearthly Cosmetics formula because I keep hearing amazing things about it. And I think also the color story I'm going to enjoy a lot more for this one. This one I think I'm going to let go. Here is the new palette. Oh, that's really beautiful. And I like how it's all mattes and all shimmers. I've always liked that layout, the Lorac days. Yeah, okay. I'm really excited to try this. This is definitely on top of the list. All right, a brand that I really have enjoyed for the past few years is Sydney Grace. I not only have a whole bunch of palettes from them, a few of these are also, by the way, in my giveaway pile, but I also have a ton of singles from them because I did do a lot of their monthly bundles over the years and have built up my collection that way. And of course, anytime they run their Christmas and July sales, I kind of go a little bit crazy. I did the mystery boxes this year. I bought the mystery boxes in December last year when they were clearancing them out. I have a ton of their cream shadows that I have yet to use. So there's going to be a lot of Sydney Grace in my future. But the palettes, I have used quite a lot of these. Not all of them, but most of these I have used, and I don't see myself decluttering any of them. I really love this palette. This is Where the Wild Things Grow. And for all of these, I believe, I have the light version. This is a great palette. I absolutely love this palette. I love that it gives me a lighter transition and a deeper one, and then we have this beautiful dark brown and different varieties of shimmers. There's lots of different looks that I can create with this, and I've really been enjoying that palette. Mountain Trail, I love greens, so Mountain Trail is right up my alley. Another one of my favorite palettes so far from Sydney Grace. Really love this one. Coffee Talk, I think I've only used once or twice and really enjoyed it. I need to use it some more. I do wish, again, this is just for me, but I do wish it had a lighter matte than this Frappe shade, and this is in light, so that was just the lightest version available, and obviously for me that is the only way to go. I don't think I've tried the California Coast. This is one when it came out I really wanted and I resisted, and then I think when it went on super sale during Christmas in July I finally picked it up. This is one I have not used, but I'm super excited to use this. I really wanted the California Coast palette just because I've been to California a few times. I've driven down Route 1, which was one of my favorite drives ever to this day, and I really hope to do it again. So, you know, a lot of these Big Sur and Butterfly Beach and a lot of these names kind of brought back really nice happy memories. I wanted to have this palette, and if I ever go back to California Coast, you best believe I'll probably be traveling with this. And then I think this is the other one that I have yet to use. Yes. Now this was a deeper palette, and this one I did get just because it was being clearanced out. I think they discontinued this, so this was a few dollars, and I just couldn't. The sale got me, so I will have to see if this is one that I will be able to create some looks with, because it is a little bit on the deeper side for somebody like me. And then I have the larger palettes. Enduring Love is one of my favorites. I absolutely love this palette. I have traveled with this. I have worn this on stage. It's an incredible palette. Same with Tiny Marvels. If I had to just pick one palette from Sydney Grace, aside from the fact that of course Mel unfortunately is no longer with us and she created this palette with Sydney Grace, I think also just the variety that this palette has and the fact that it does have the ability to do everything from very neutral to very bold and colorful and fun. Love this palette. And this this one I do keep in the packaging just because it's Mel's palette. And then I want to say these I got during Christmas in July, and I have not tried this Love's Journey yet, but I can see this becoming a future neutral favorite. This is one that kind of offers a little bit of everything. You've got a little bit of the warm tones, but not too warm, so I'm loving that already. Neutral leaning slightly olive, and then a cool tone rose. This looks incredible, and this really needs to get on the top list of palettes I would like to try this month. And then the Be Mine is one I wanted ever since it came out, and I believe I picked it up again because it was on super sale. I don't remember if they've discontinued this or it was just a sale, but this is another palette that I just thought would be so beautiful to have. I love Sydney Grace. I kind of wouldn't mind to have a lot of their shadows, which I do at this point. I think I need to really slow down my roll and finally use these before I start wanting to collect even more. So yeah, Sydney Grace is not going anywhere. I have two palettes that Angelica Nyquist created, one with Kaleidos. This is the Club Nebula palette. It is also my only Kaleidos palette, and I love this palette. This is also signed by Angie because I brought this to Vegas with me. Kind of wish I knew Heather Austin was going to be there, because actually another collab I have is Heather's, but I have two palettes now from Adept, so let me wait on that and show those both to you guys together. But yeah, I have this Club Nebula palette, which is one of my all-time favorite palettes in my collection. If I were to ever do like one of those if I could only keep 10 palettes videos, this would probably be in there. I absolutely adore this palette. I know Angie herself even mentioned to me that her Hella palette from Odensai is probably her favorite color story that she's ever created, and you know, obviously she created it, so she would know what her favorites are. But for me, I have to say it definitely is still her Club Nebula. I think because if I'm going to do more color and more drama, I do lean more towards like the darker, grungier colors, as opposed to the really poppy brights. And this, while it has some stunning colors and it does have some neutrals, I just find, I don't know, I'm not really a pink wearer lately, so these shades have barely gotten any love from me. I love greens, but some of these very bright greens intimidate me a little bit. I really need to use this palette more. I see the potential in it. For some reason, when I open it though, it kind of scares me a little bit. Whereas when I open this palette, I right away see all the different things that I can do with it. So these two palettes are definitely sticking around, and I would like to use the Hella palette more this year. Oh, and since we're on the topic of the Club Nebula, I've talked to a few friends about this, and everyone kind of has a little bit of a mixed opinion, so maybe you guys could tell me when this palette originally came out, which I believe was January of 2021. So by now we're talking about 3 years ago. I purchased two. This was the very first thing I bought after my no-buy year, and I bought two in hopes that when I do reach 1,000 subscribers, that would be kind of the main start of my giveaway. Due to life things, I have been on and off YouTube pretty much ever since. I have not been very consistent, so I have yet to reach the 1,000 mark 3 years later, which is fine. That part of it is fine. What I am worried about is the wonderful makeup sitting in my house and probably, slowly deteriorating. If I were to reach 1,000 subscribers during 2024, which is definitely the goal for me, would you guys feel comfortable with me still putting that palette into the giveaway? Or do you feel like it is too old by now and I should consider gifting it to somebody in my life instead? I really would like an honest opinion. I don't want people to say they want it just for the sake of saying they want it. I would love to have some honest thoughts on the topic, because I really don't want to be gifting old palettes to people if you don't feel comfortable with that. So please let me know your thoughts on that. All right, I have one palette from Blend Bunny Cosmetics. It is the Primal palette. I bought it when it was being discontinued. I want to say it went on sale. That's probably why I bought it, let's be honest. And I have not tried it. I keep wanting to, and other palettes kind of take precedence. Now that I have this, I don't need another rainbow palette ever, because I have it. This is it. This is going to be my one one rainbow palette. So guys, if I ever consider buying another rainbow palette, somebody please stop me. This is my one palette from Beauty Bay. This is the Wilderness palette. I wanted this palette so badly. I finally got to use it in 2023 a few times. I still haven't gone through all the shades. And I have to say that, you know, you either have heard or will hear me talk more in depth about this palette in my 2023 eyeshadow palette ranking. In summary, so far, I have to agree with my friend Kelly from Keep Beauty Real. I'm struggling with the shimmers. They are creasing on me, and I need to figure out if there's a way I can prevent that from happening, or if it continues to happen, then eventually this palette will unfortunately have to be decluttered. I love the color story. I really want this palette to work. But yeah, if the shimmers end up creasing as much as they have been, then probably this palette and I are not going to get along. All right, and then the last two palettes are my Adept palettes. This palette has just come into my possession in the last few days of 2023. I think it arrived December 29th or something. And I wore this palette on New Year's Eve, and I loved the experience of wearing it on New Year's Eve. But that was the only time I've worn it so far. So obviously I will need to use this palette a lot more. It went on sale because Adept emailed like a special code for all of their limited edition products, and I have really wanted to try another palette from Adept because the only one I had tried up to that point was the Heather Austin palette, and it is one of my favorite palettes. So I really wanted to try more of Adept cosmetics, but prices have been going up, as we all know, and you know, even $60 for a palette is really hard for me to swallow. And with most brands now jumping into the 70s and some brands are even into the 80s and 90s, I just can't. Like Isley Rain, I would love to try their palettes, but they're like 88 plus tax plus shipping, so you're looking at basically a Pat McGrath mothership price, and I don't have that kind of money. But I need to look around me and realize, wow, A, I've already spent a lot of money, and B, I have so many incredible eyeshadow palettes. So instead of worrying about all the other palettes that I would like to try, I need to actually first try all the palettes that I have here. With that, I guess let me count up how many palettes I did end up decluttering. I'm not going to count all the palettes that I'm keeping because I will be doing a separate makeup inventory video. If you guys have been keeping track and you want to go back and count every palette and let me know how many I have, by all means, but I don't think I'm going to be doing that tonight. I'm going to save that for another day, and let me come back with the numbers for what I'm getting rid of. Let's see how I did. Okay, so here are all the palettes that I am getting rid of so far. We've got
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38.
38 palettes. Wow, okay. Not too bad. I really didn't know what to expect. Okay, and then as far as my basket of doom, I have
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14,
15 palettes that are immediately like the priority, basically. The ones I would like to test out first, because these are kind of the ones that I'm not sure about, that I don't know if I need to keep every single one of these palettes. What did I say? 38 was what I was getting rid of. It's actually 39. I forgot this little guy. And we've got one maybe. Do I make it an even 40, even though this is very pretty? Do I have other purples? I feel like, of course I do. I'm still staring at it. Let's look at this, and let's look at this. I mean, with the exception of this really deep one, and of course this more neutral one, I don't need both. All right, guys, please agree with me. I'm gonna get rid of this and make my declutter pile an even 40. So that is that. Thank you so much for being here for what I imagine is an epic length saga of a video. And I'm just like, if you're still here, I don't know what to drop in the comments down below. I guess drop maybe some trophies down below, because you certainly deserve them. Thank you so much for watching my entire 12 days of declutter series. This is the last video. I am considering doing a bonus 13th declutter of my skincare. If you guys would be interested, please let me know. I guess I should have asked that in the beginning when people were actually still here. But either way, thank you again so much for sticking it out and watching this video. Thank you for all of your support. I hope that you guys are doing really well. I hope that you are continuing to stay safe and healthy. Take care of yourselves and those around you. And I cannot wait to see you in my next video. Bye guys.